Hey friend, welcome back to More Than a Milspouse. I'm Christine, your host, fellow military spouse, and intuitive clarity coach, here to help you reclaim your identity, unlock your potential, and live a life that truly lights you up. Now, that sounds great in theory, but the reality is when you are worrying about if the paycheck is coming, if there will be money to buy groceries, thinking about living a life that lights you up feels really far away. So today's conversation is really a heart-to-heart about what's going on in our country, the shutdown, how that's impacting us, and what we can do about it. So what do you say? Let's dive into the show. Welcome to More Than a Milspouse, the podcast for military spouses who want to live with more meaning and less overwhelm. I'm your host, Christine, seasoned military spouse, mom of 3, life coach, and your guide to intentionally designing a life you're excited about as a military spouse. I'm here to help you get the clarity you need so you can get unstuck and unlock your purpose and potential. Because you, my friend, are more than a milspouse. You have something valuable to offer. And when you pursue the things that light your heart on fire, you trade frustration for fulfillment and isolation for a life of impact. It's time to discover who you are meant to be, because together we can change the world. Okay, friend, welcome back. I have to be honest, I have really struggled to get back into a regular recording routine since we moved this summer. It will get there, but it has taken me longer than I anticipated to get all the rhythms and systems in place. And I do want to have a conversation about that in the coming weeks, but I felt like it was really important to start with talking about what's going on right now and the tension and pressure that so many spouses feel with the government shutdown going on right now. As I've been thinking about how do I figure out what it is that we need to talk about, what you need to hear, how I feel about it, there's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of thoughts, and I've been trying to sit with it and figure out what is the conversation that we need to have. Because, part of it is I've been through government shutdowns and threats of government shutdowns. In fact, it almost feels normal at this point to have the threat of a government shutdown. Now, having actually watched the government shutdown doesn't happen quite as often, but here we are. And on the one hand, it's not the first time this has happened. It probably won't be the last. And so on the one hand, I feel the thought that it's not a big deal. We'll come through this. Life will go on. But it still feels like a really big deal. This one feels different. And the more that I've sat with it and said, what is it about this shutdown that feels really difficult? I've come up with a couple of things. One, there's just so much more tension and pressure and military families that feel caught in the middle right now. Typically, military has been apolitical. It doesn't matter which political party is in power. The military and military families exist to serve and protect and defend our country, regardless of who's in the Oval Office. And it feels like there have been a lot more situations recently where military families feel caught in the middle, where it feels more like we are political pawns, where it feels more like we are caught between a rock and a hard place with no good solutions. In all honesty, military families are tired. We're tired of the uncertainty. We're tired of watching systems and initiatives put in place to make life better for military families, to improve quality of life, to improve readiness and retention. These systems, this data is being discounted, and in many ways it feels like the progress we've made is in danger of being pulled back. But on the other hand, I think for me personally, this shutdown feels differently just because we have more data about how these shutdowns affect military families. Because we have more data about military family situations and finances. When 1 in 4 active duty families struggles with food insecurity, when over 21% of military spouses are unemployed, and that number jumps to 38% when you include the spouses who are unemployed and not actively looking for work. When you include the fact that nearly half of spouses who do work consider themselves underemployed, and that 1 in 4 military families has less than $500 in emergency savings. These aren't just numbers. These are real people, real families like you and me. And so when we think about not receiving a paycheck for the work that we have done or our spouse has done, because I know a lot of spouses who are federal employees and are not receiving a paycheck, or whose jobs have been cut or eliminated in the last year. Our service members are going to work doing their jobs, defending our freedom, and potentially not receiving income for the work they have done. When the bills don't stop, but the paycheck does, that's a problem. It is not your fault, but you are the one that still has to figure out how to pay all the bills, pay for childcare, pay for your mortgage, pay for electricity, and so on and so forth. So if you, as the military spouse, feels deeply concerned about your finances right now, I want to validate that feeling. If you're not sure how you're going to make it through the next few weeks, I want to say that is valid. This is not a mindset problem. This is a survival problem. And I want to say that because we talk a lot about mindset on the podcast. We talk a lot about how we think and how we respond and how that impacts our lives. And so that is true. And also, if your body is in fight or flight mode, if your stress response is elevated for good reason, you're going to struggle. So yes, I do want you to think positively and practice gratitude and all these other things, but that's not where we need to start. We need to start by understanding the hierarchy of needs. If you ever took a course in psychology or heard about it in school, Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about how we can't get the higher level of needs met until we have those basic needs for shelter, safety, security, food, water, all of those things that have to be taken care of before we can go out and do the things that light us up, before we can go out and achieve our dreams. We got to make sure those basic needs are met first. So if you don't have enough funds to pay your bills because your spouse's employer has not or is not planning to pay them, that is a problem. We got to address that problem first before we can address how we show up and chase our dreams, before we can go live a life that lights us up. Now, what I also want to say, and this is fundamental to what I talk about on this podcast and in my coaching, and it's that you cannot control the circumstances that go on, but we still get to control our response to what happens. You know, the government can shut down, and you and I still get to control how we respond to that situation. So I want to do a couple of things today to help empower you to create an intentional response to what's happening. So, what can you and I do about the shutdown? What can we do in response to the circumstances in our life? Number one, ground yourself. Do something that helps you feel like you. Maybe it's taking a deep breath. Maybe it's going for a walk outside. Maybe it's texting a friend and saying, hey, I just need to talk. Whatever it is that helps you calm your body down in this moment, because if you let that fear response take over and run away, it's going to not lead you to an intentional response, but rather than an unintentional reaction and letting the fear and worry and concern drive the bus. So the feeling is absolutely valid, but you got to do one thing for yourself to help ground yourself in this moment so that you remind yourself you are not powerless and you have agency. So if you've taken that moment to ground yourself so that you can intentionally respond rather than react, then what do we do next? Number one, make a plan. Look at your finances and figure out what can you do about the situation. If you have USAA, if you have a bank with Navy Federal, there are zero interest loans. There are a lot of resources that are being released to the military community to help us through the situation. So do some research, look at your bank account, figure out what you need to do. I will be sharing more resources in our free community on Facebook, the More Than a Milspouse community. So if you're looking for ideas, go pop in there and I will continue to share resources as I see them. But keep your eyes open because there are a lot of organizations that are trying to help military families through this. And the more that you are able to respond rather than react, then you are opening yourself up to people and resources that want to help you. So make your plan. Number 3, reach out to your representatives. Let them know, hey, pay our troops. Let's get this government up and running. You should not be not meeting when families are not receiving paychecks for the work that they're doing. Get this government up and functioning again. Number 4, share your story. Not everyone has a family member or friend who is employed by the federal government. And so they may not feel this shutdown directly like you do. So when you go online or in person and you share how this shutdown is affecting you, that helps people tie it to real stories and how it impacts real people. So just be willing to share your story with others. Number 5, if you have the capacity, and that capacity is going to look different for each person, but if you have a little bit extra margin, whether that be emotional or financial or time, check on someone else. Send a text, drop off a meal, offer to watch someone's kids for an hour. Sometimes when we feel powerless, connection is the first step back towards strength. I want you to know that you are more than a milspouse. You are part of a resourceful and deeply compassionate community that shows up for one another, even when the system does not. And then number 6, continue to practice self-care, whatever that looks like for you, especially things that are free. And sometimes this takes a little creativity, whether that means, having a bubble bath or going for a walk in nature or baking something from scratch if you love to bake, whatever it is that really helps you connect with yourself and refreshes your soul. That's the main thing. Not something that causes you to zone out and just not think about the problem, but something that really helps you reconnect with yourself and the feeling of joy, even in the heart. So, number 1, ground yourself. Number 2, make a plan. Number 3, reach out to your representatives. Number 4, share your story. Number 5, check on others. And number 6, continue to take care of yourself. So as we wrap up today, I want you to remember to take that deep breath, to feel your feet on the ground. And remember that even in times of uncertainty like this, you can find moments of peace, purpose, and presence. Now, I hope this shutdown ends soon, but whether it ends tomorrow or it takes a while, your worth, your identity, and your impact are not tied to the paycheck. So I just want to offer a couple of things to you today. If you need help calming your mind and your body right now, go download the MilSpouse Reset. I first released this back for MilSpouse Appreciation Day, but it gives you a meditation, it gives you some affirmations, and just some journal prompts to help you reconnect with yourself, even in times of stress and uncertainty. It's not going to take you a lot of time, but it is something that you can do for yourself. I will also, in the show notes, link some of our past episodes on financial readiness and being a good financial steward. If that is helpful to you or to someone you know, please share those episodes with them. And then again, if you are craving connection and support during this time, if you are looking for resources, please come join us inside of the free More Than a MilSpouse Facebook community. And that is where you will find encouragement, resources, support, and how we can show up for one another in the days ahead. I just want to end by saying I know this season can feel heavy, but I know that you are capable, that you are courageous, and that you can live a life of more peace, more joy, more purpose, even when things feel out of control. So take care of yourself, give yourself grace, and remember, you are more than a MilSpouse. Until next time, may you live filled, fueled, and full of joy. Hey, amazing MilSpouse. Before you go, I want you to know that I love hearing from you. The More Than a MilSpouse community exists to help you thrive as a military spouse. Figure out what lights your heart on fire and empower you to live with purpose and impact. You can have an incredible impact simply by heading over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. But your impact doesn't stop there. You can empower those around you simply by sharing an episode with a friend or neighbor, someone who needs a little encouragement in this military life. And if this episode was meaningful to you, spread the love by taking a screenshot of this episode and tagging me on Instagram so we can continue to reach more people, change more lives, and shift the way that military spouses look at life. Because we are better together. Together, we can change the world. Let's do it.